So recently there has been a historic auto workers strike. So the UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, has just walked off. They've said enough is enough of these freaking low paid jobs that don't pay you enough to survive, don't pay you enough to raise children, don't offer realistic working hours. They either offer too little or way too much. A lot of these workers are working 7 days a week, 40, 50, 60 hours, sometimes even higher than that. And people have just had enough, okay? If you're not making at least $30 an hour in 2023, you unfortunately don't have the earnings to live comfortably in America. You just don't. You cannot survive comfortably in America making less than $30 an hour. Think about it. Rent in a safe area is like at least $1,400. If you want to live in a safe area, and get a basket full of groceries to feed you 3 meals a day. If you want a car that won't freaking blow up as soon as you turn it on, you will have to make at least $30 an hour. Now, 10 years ago, I wouldn't be saying this. I'd be like, oh yeah, $20 is enough. Heck, even 10 years ago, I could say $18, $17 is enough to squeeze by. But now it's absolutely impossible to live comfortably in an era with rampant inflation, rampant inequality, rampant corporate greed. You just can't do it. And these workers have just said, no, enough is enough. I'm not working at this crappy factory for this crappy wage while the CEO is making millions and millions of dollars doing absolutely nothing, by making money by gambling with our wages and getting stock buybacks. That's how they make all their money. And really, 50 years ago, we would have called that market manipulation, stock buybacks. But nowadays, everything's legal for rich people. Rich people can basically do whatever they want, whenever they want. America has basically become a playground for the rich. Poor people don't have any rights. You don't have any feasible comfortability in your life. You are not allowed to live comfortable. You're not allowed to eat 3 square meals a day. People are literally skipping meals. Think about it. The poor people of this country, not even the poor people, even the middle class, are now skipping meals. They literally have to skip a meal. They have to decide whether or not they want to pay for skip breakfast or pay their rent. They're making decisions like that on a day-to-day basis. And it's just gotten so insane, so utterly greedy, that the roofs are finally caving in. People are tired. People are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And now they're going on strike. So let's watch this video and see what the UAW is doing.
Parking lot is normally full Monday through Friday. Now it's empty due to the fact that we are on strike. We are fighting for what we deserve.
You can't expect these workers to make cars they can't afford to buy. This is just not about the UAW. This is about all active employees across the United States, because what happens here will happen everywhere.
But it's been a long time coming. It's history in the making.
No deal, no wheels.
For the first time in history, the United Auto Workers Union is striking against all big 3 automakers at once.
This is the first time this has ever happened before. Never before have all 3 big 3 automotive manufacturers been at the mercy of a union strike at the same time, mind you. This has never happened before. So that's how you know things are bad. If our ancestors 50, 60, 70 years ago never went on strike when it comes to the big 3 ever, because they really had no reason to, that's how you know things are bad. That's how you know, comparatively, compared to the 1950s, our living situations are much, much, much worse. It's either you're rich enough to buy a house or you are poor enough to live in a tent on Skid Row. It seems like there's no in between now. You're either super freaking well off or you just really freaking poor.
About 12,700 workers committed to a work stoppage at 3 locations.
The UAW is demanding pay raises of more than 40% for its members to match the pay raises of CEOs of the companies.
The strike became official overnight when that midnight deadline hit without a deal.
All of you know that there was once a time when a union job in the automobile industry was the gold standard for the working class in America. Well, we are determined to bring those days back again.
What do we want? When do we want it? And if we don't get it?
Peers put one man higher than another, and it shouldn't be that way because you got 2 people that do the same job at the same time.
Now, I actually saw a few of these worker strikes from the UAW. When I was on my way to work, I work right next to a Ford plant that makes, I think, Wranglers or something. I don't know what they make, but yeah, there was like at least 500 people out there striking. So a lot of people are participating in this strike, which is amazing. I think if you make less than $20 bare minimum, you should probably get together with your coworkers and start really collective bargaining. You need to start negotiating with your employer on a collective level. And right now is a perfect time to do that because the worker shortage, there's a shortage of workers. People have said no, people are dropping out of the workforce, and these corporations are having a harder and harder time finding workers. They're having a completely abysmal time. Nowadays it's like they expect one worker to do the job of 3 workers because they can't find the other 2. So there's a huge worker shortage, and those that do stay at the job, they are being punished with more work without having increased pay. So that gives you more incentive to collective bargain in the form of unions, in the form of striking. You need to do this. Otherwise, these companies will not give you a pay raise. They'll give you like a 1% pay raise every single year. And they'll be like, aren't you grateful? Aren't you grateful? Meanwhile, their CEOs make like 30, 40, 50 million doing nothing. Is this truly the land of the free when the middle class is dead? It's dead. There is no more middle class. Show me the middle class. Show me who's the middle class. It's either ultra rich, upper class, or just poor, living paycheck to paycheck. 60%, I think it's like 70% at this, 70 or 80% of the country lives paycheck to paycheck, $0 in savings, under $1,000 in savings. This is unsustainable. And they better be glad this is all that's happening, because it could be way, way worse than this. We could fight for a $20 minimum wage, which would be even more devastating to these corporations because they don't have the choice. Right now, they have a choice whether or not to pay you a living wage. They have the choice. But if we pass a minimum wage law or bill, or put pressure on the politicians to actually make it mandatory to pay a living wage that can sustain a 2-parent household and at least 3 kids or 2 kids, then they would be screwed, these corporations. But not for now. It's unions just saying, hey, we noticed the CEO is making 40% more. We've noticed you've made $250 billion in profit. We've noticed that the prices of automobiles have gone up and up, and people keep buying them. When are we going to get some of those profits on the cars that we collectively make?
Tier 1 gets to enjoy his family working 40 hours a week. The Tier 2 guy has to work 60 to 70 hours a week just to make the same amount of pay that you're close to the Tier 1 guy.
Now keep this in mind, 60 to 70 hours a week. Back-breaking work at a factory, 60 to 70 hours a week. This is like Victorian era labor conditions. 70 hours? That's unbelievable.
He goes home at night, he can't even hold his baby no more because he can barely hold his hands. Spends time soaking in hot baths because he can barely move.
The big 3, they have all them CEOs, they have no idea what it feels like to be able to wake up in pain almost every day, because we work those 6 to 7 days out the week and we have no time to rest our bodies. They don't understand.
7 days a week. 7 days. Just to do it again the next week. Unbelievable. 7 days. 7 days. Just think about that. And a lot of people work desk jobs, cushy desk jobs, doing paperwork, 40 hours a week. Now imagine doing high intensity, labor intensive jobs for 7 days a week.
And they don't get what it's like trying to figure out if you're going to be able to eat or put food on your family's table the next day. They don't get that at all.
If we signed up for the UAW's request, instead of making money and distributing $75,000 in profit sharing in the last 10 years, we would have lost $15 billion and gone bankrupt by now.
$15 billion, you're saying? The cost to make an automobile when it comes to the actual labor is only 5% of the total cost to make an automobile. That means for every car made, only 5% of the cost of the vehicle was from labor. So people were making the vehicles. Only 5% of their paycheck went into making that vehicle.
You've seen a 34% pay increase in your salary. You make almost $30 million. Why should
They don't do anything. The CEO does not. You could run a company just fine without a CEO, but you can't run a company without the workers. So who is really more important? Who is really more important in this relationship? They keep saying, oh, we innovate, we do this, we do that. No, they're just buying stock buybacks to inflate the value of their company or corporation so the CEO can get pay bonuses. And it's an endless cycle. Then they invest those. They are literally investing people's freaking labor into the stock market. The profits that should go to the worker are being pumped and gambled on the stock exchange. Manipulation, market manipulation, completely legal in this dystopian country.
your workers not get the same type of pay increases that you're getting? We think we have a very competitive offer on the table, and that's why we want to get back there and get this done.
Last year, these companies spent $9 billion not to improve the lives of their workers, but to pay for stock buybacks and dividends to make their wealthy stockholders even richer. Meanwhile, the average wage for American auto workers has decreased by 30% after adjusting for inflation.
So they got a 30% pay cut if you really calculate and adjust for inflation. The sad thing is most jobs, unfortunately, are paying less than they were 10 years ago. If you really think about it, if you really do the math, any job, most jobs, like 99% of jobs, regular jobs, are paying less. They say, oh, we'll give you a $2 pay raise. Oh, aren't you happy? When really your buying power is less than it was a year ago. Okay, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You are being paid, you are being screwed. The profits are up. The cost of everything is up. Rent is up. The landlord class, they're making their money. The CEO class, they're making their money. The investor class that does nothing, doesn't produce anything, they're making their money. Why does everyone win except the worker? And when the worker asks for a good deal, they call the worker lazy. They call the worker saying they're replaceable. They said they will be replaced with robots. All these insults to the worker. The CEO can be replaced by another CEO. Why is it just the worker that is replaceable? The CEO can easily be replaced by another ghoul CEO that acts like a robot, no personality, is just a sociopath. The CEO can be replaced too.
Do you want to know why you're out on strike right now? That's the reason.
Without our labor, this country couldn't function. They say that we're asking for too much, but really it's the CEOs and the corporate leaders that are having too much. There's no reason that they should be making, 300-400 times more than what I make or what my union brothers and sisters make. Is your time really worth 300 or 400 times more? Do you really work 300 or 400 times harder than we do? No, you don't.
Every human being wants to provide a better life for their family. That's what we work for. That's what we go to work every day for. So a 40% raise, that would finally make us feel like what we're doing is actually respected.
Since 1948, COLA, the cost of living adjustment has been part of every single UAW contract until '09. You all took the biggest hit. Plant closures destroyed communities. You guys got rid of coal. You did everything you were supposed to do so you can keep them afloat. And now that...
So for those that don't know, the UAW during the economic recession after 2008, they did a deal. They said, hey, automotive companies, we'll take a pay cut if you promise to increase our wages later down the line after this economic recession ends, and we'll let you reduce our wages for now just to keep the companies afloat so you guys don't go bankrupt. And now we're like 15, 16, 17 years later, they still haven't increased the wages adjusted for inflation. They keep giving 1, 2, 3% wage increases, even though the rate of inflation is like 20%. So really, they're just gradually getting poorer and sinking deeper into poverty. And Ford, GM, and Stellantis just basically lied to them.
You're all struggling. Our retirees are struggling. Now they want to turn their backs to you while they give themselves 300 to 4 times more in pay.
They want to use scare tactics now, saying we're going to wreck the economy. In their economy, one of our workers would have to work 400 years to make what a CEO makes in 1 year.
400 years. That is longer than American slavery lasted. So you'd have to literally be a slave, work sun up, sun down, 400 years, 24 hours a day in order to make what a CEO makes. Now, who in the world needs that much money? What do you even do with that much? My mind would go insane with that much money. Just having that much, it wouldn't feel right to have that much money. And I just give me a decent size house. Just give me a nice car, and I'm good. I don't need 400 million. Let me put food on the table. Maybe let me start a family. But besides that, I don't need $400 million. This is nothing but pure greed.
We're not going to wreck the economy. We're going to wreck their economy.
I like how Sean Fain is aggressive.
The thing about Sean Fain's leadership is he's accountable to the membership. He's the first UAW leader that was directly democratically elected by the membership. You know, he's actually doing what the members want. He's taking our demands. They're not the president's demands, but the members' demands, and taking them to the companies. You know, it's not just about him having a cushy job at Solidarity House or being a big-time union boss. It's about fighting for your members, and so I respect him for that.
Walter Reuther, when he built the UAW back in the day, he worked hard to build a foundation combined by the big three that everybody wanted to work for. If you were a UAW auto worker, that was a dream job. Sean's leading us back into that direction.
Key word was a dream job. Nowadays, you could probably work at Five Guys burgers and fries and make more than that. I think Five Guys pays like $20-something an hour, and Ford, they don't even pay you in like $15. They pay you like $15 an hour. Now, who in the world can live off $15 an hour? And I was watching some interviews of these workers that were striking, and a lot of them are just giving horror stories about how they've been working there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and they've just gotten poorer as time goes by. The new workers, they're saying they have to live with their parents. They can't afford college. They can't afford basic necessities. They can't afford car payments. They can't afford car insurance. They have to eat cheap food. They're living like freaking, these people are in poverty. They're paying poverty wages in a job that was once prestigious. My grandmother worked at Ford her whole life, bought a big house, started a big family, okay? No, life savings. Okay, the ability to retire comfortably, multiple cars, enough for upkeep, everything you could possibly want. But now, that same job, doing the same work, doesn't pay anything. It pays as much as a fast food worker. Yet, they'll say, people on TV will say the economy is doing good. How?
Direction again.
He's kind of like, to me, like the big brother I need in order for somebody to lead me and help me grow more within the union with my union brothers and sisters. I'm prepared to fight to the end, and I hope everybody's ready, because I'm ready.
The only way that you're going to get economic justice in your life is by coming together with other working class people. Our only clout as a class is to withhold our labor. And through withholding our labor collectively and acting in concert, we can have power to make this economy work for working class people.
Together we stand in solidarity. In solidarity we stand together. And together we're unstoppable.
Union! Union! Union!
Yeah, very interesting turn of events. So hopefully this spreads to other companies, to other professions. I hope we see a fast food strike. I hope we see an electrician's strike. I hope we see a plumber strike. I hope we see a laborer strike, landscaping strike. Every job at this point is being underpaid. So maybe we need to stop throwing our labor at these companies and just handing our labor to them dirt cheap, and instead start saying, okay, we're doing this, this. Maybe it's time you actually pay us enough to live. Maybe it's time you pay us enough to live, because I see you driving a $200,000 car. I see you're going on vacation every month to freaking Fiji. I see you buying nice freaking houses, nice freaking furniture. Meanwhile, your workers can only afford a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, can't put more than $5 worth of gas in their car at a time without freaking going bankrupt, can't get groceries, can't get 3 square meals a day. Somebody on unemployment can get that. Yet you have people working full-time that can't afford anything, can't afford a decent living, and these same companies will expect you to be grateful. That is how little they respect you. So yeah, I hope it gets even bigger. Now, they only did 3 auto plants that are striking, but I was kind of looking for them striking at all plants simultaneously. So I'm not really sure what their strategy is, but Ford, GM, Stellantis, they can eat the cost. They can eat the cost if it's just 3, but if it's like 100 plants just striking simultaneously, they'd have to come to the bargaining table. Some people will say, oh, they're just gonna outsource the jobs to China and Mexico. Didn't we bail them out? Didn't the American United States of America taxpayer bail them out numerous times, billions of dollars? These companies shouldn't be allowed to outsource their companies and still be able to do business in America. If they can take their jobs to Mexico, I don't care, but don't come here and try to sell us those same products. Ban them from ever doing business in America again if they even take one factory to China, if they even take one factory to Mexico. These companies should not be able to do business unless they do business here, okay? Because all it's doing is driving down wages, it's decreasing our purchasing power, it's decreasing the workers' bargaining power, and it's making us all poorer. And if the politicians actually cared, they'd increase the minimum wage. They actually do things to help the worker, do things to help the people that keep society going. But instead, they do nothing. They sing the same song and dance every 4 years. They sing the same song and dance. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and nothing ever gets done. So you have to take matters into your own hands, like these UAW workers. And this is what you get. Long time coming. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think the strikes are justified? Let me know in the comments.